Hello, my name is Lola, and today I will be presenting you my process during this semester called Atelier. The end result of this atelier is an embroidered puffer jacket and a textured dress. The jacket represents coziness and softness. It is smooth, warm, rounded, and one size fits most, while the dress is recycled, shredded, textured, rough, stiff, boiled, yet perfectly tailored to the very specific measurements of my model. Each has a separate story and soul. This dress is complex, made with variable colors and textures, fragmented and recomposed. It highlights and follows the form of a person, whereas the jacket is an oversized cloud, which rather than revealing the shape of the body, it engulfs it. Their contrasting nature complements each other. Together, they have 50 shades of pink, and their aesthetic fits into the realm of hyperpop. Hyperpop in itself is a bit of a mimic or parody of pop culture. The jacket is over the top with its custom patterns for absurdly long sleeves. It is mostly about the experience rather than the usability. The design was born out of a series of experiments, discussions with teachers and peers, exploration, and joy that took place in this atelier. In following, I will show you some fragments about the process of printing, dyeing, embroidering, pattern making, and sewing. I want to start with the highlights of the materials classes. I love the freedom that we got during these, and it made for a very enjoyable time for me. First of all, I've gone to the Maker's Lab to laser cut about 6 or 7 times now. I created my own print that has brought me a lot of serotonin that I call the roller technique, and later I brought that into Photoshop and I made, you guessed it, another block print. However, it wasn't nearly as fun as rolling the print onto a piece of paper and fabric. It creates this irregular and intricate design that is ever changing. Sadly, after developing this print further, I realized that it would not have the place that it deserves in my final design, so I just continued developing other prints like these beautiful flowers. I wanted to create a garment that made you feel cozy, safe, and comforted, basically a wearable blanket. These were some experiments from phase 1, essentially me playing with a lot of volume. Not long after that, I decided that I wanted to make a puffer coat. I was inspired by the very big silhouettes that also gave me the feeling of this coziness and comfort. Now it was time to think about how I wanted the puff effect to be. I briefly considered an inflatable jacket, but that would not work with the embroidery that I will talk more about later in this video. Let's talk embroidery. It took a few tries to find the perfect formula. First, I tried embroidering with multiple layers of fiberfill, but that didn't fit into the machine. Then I decided to take away the fiberfill and just embroider the 2 layers of fabric, but that left the flowers looking quite flat. So the final perfect combination is embroidering with 1 layer of fiberfill in between and then stuffing the rest afterwards. The wow moment for my dress happened very early on in the semester. When I sewed a bunch of scraps together and pinned it to the mannequin, I saw what it could become. On the other hand, the wow moment for the jacket was well into the process. I spent hours behind the sewing machines, hours behind the embroidery machines, tearing meters and meters of fiberfill for stuffing, dragging these huge bags back and forth to school and home, trying to keep faith that this jacket would work out. Only less than 24 hours before the deadline is when I pulled the bottom elastic through the tunnel and saw with much excitement the cloud shape that I had been dreaming of. I realize now that experimentation and persistence is what makes the garment.